Welcome to Catholic Views, where we get to know the faith and those who live it. I'm your host, Renee Kranz. Today we will have Father Shane Stevens here. He is the pastor at, Queen of Peace Pastorate, which is in the Del Rapids area. He's going to come in. He just recently went on sabbatical. So what in the world is a sabbatical, and why do priests take them? And he was in Rome for a good chunk of it. So he has some good stories. He'll fill us in on what a sabbatical and what is a sabbatical and why priests go there. So stick around for that. First, we have Dr. Chris Bergwald here for Biblical Bites with Dr. B.
Greetings, Renee.
Greetings. Dr. Bergwald.
What is today?
Well, I think it's probably the second Sunday of Ordinary Time.
Right, and what year are we in?
C.
She said.
Super confidently.
And therefore, the gospel is from?
Mark. Luke.
Luke.
Matthew.
Luke. Normally. But it's actually from John.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of those times where, so just a little bit of liturgical, lectionary trivia, I guess, the reading cycle. As we've talked before, but maybe newer listeners haven't heard, there are, for the Sunday readings, there's just a cycle. Father doesn't pick, we know that because there's a missalette. And that's built around, it's for the church around the world, 3 cycles or a 3-year cycle of reading. Year A, the gospel reading is almost always from Matthew. Year B, mostly from Mark. Year C, virtually always from Luke. But what about poor John? So John gets fit in because Mark is such a short gospel, relatively speaking. We get John in year B. We get John a lot in Easter, all 3 years, and also on occasion. So the second Sunday of Ordinary Time, we hear from John's Gospel about the wedding feast at Cana.
Okay.
So Ordinary Time is when we're getting into the public ministry of Jesus. Advent is us. The Gospels, if you go back and look at Advent's Gospel readings, they're not. It doesn't just take the story of the Annunciation or whatever.
Right.
We get that partially, but there's also like looking to the end of time and so on. But it's Advent, as we know, is oriented towards preparing us for Jesus' birth. Christmas season is about celebrating Jesus' birth. Lent is looking forward to to Passion Week, Holy Week, and then of course Easter season is about celebrating the resurrection. Ordinary Time focuses on Jesus' public ministry. So as we're now, last Sunday was the end of Christmas season.
Right.
The baptism of the Lord. Now we are into, as we were this week, into Ordinary Time. So we get the first miracle public miracle that Jesus works in John's Gospel.
Right.
And you nodded there as if you know what that miracle is.
Well, because you mentioned it. It was a wedding feast at Cana.
I did say that, didn't I? See, that was.
I think I would know anyway.
I did. That would be. And John is very deliberate. So this is a sign. So the end of the gospel says Jesus did this as the beginning of his signs at Cana in Galilee, and so revealed his glory, and his disciples began to believe in him. So there are 7 key miracles that John sort of highlights as signs that function key roles in his gospel. And this is the first of them. But what I want to do, just a little bit of time that we have left, is connect it back to the first reading for Mass, which is from the book of the prophet Isaiah. So I'm going to give it one of my
Bergwald speed reads?
Bergwald speed reads, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
This is Isaiah 62, verses 1 through 5. For Zion's sake I will not be silent. For Jerusalem's sake I will not be quiet, until her vindication shines forth like the dawn, and her victory like a burning torch. Nations shall behold your vindication, and all the kings your glory. You shall be called by a new name, pronounced by the mouth of the Lord. You shall be a glorious crown in the hand of the Lord, a royal diadem held by your God. No more shall people call you forsaken, or your land desolate, but you shall be called my delight, and your land espoused. For the Lord delights in you, and makes your land his spouse. As a young man marries a virgin, your builder shall marry you. And as a bridegroom rejoices in his bride, so shall your God rejoice in you. So why does the church put this reading with the first miracle in John's Gospel, the wedding feast at Cana? Well, this is the part of Isaiah's book where he's giving encouragement to, this is looking ahead from when he lived to when the Jews, they go into exile in Babylon and they come back. And now they're back, but things are not going great. And so it's looking to a time. Zion is Jerusalem. Jerusalem is Jerusalem. This is looking forward to a time when things will be fulfilled and God will restore his people. And that's what we see with Jesus' public ministry, the beginning of God's restoration of his people, Israel.
Thanks for that, Dr. B.
You bet.